We celebrated our first week in Paris by taking the train to visit one of the most opulent buildings in all of France, the Palace of Versailles. Its sheer decadence and grandeur have inspired royalty, revolutionaries, filmmakers, and dreamers for centuries. Once you arrive at the Versailles train station, you can catch a bus or take a 20-minute walk to the palace. We chose to walk, and it was worth it. The palace slowly grows on the horizon as you approach, culminating in a dramatic arrival at the gilded gates. While it doesn't feel as dominating as the Louvre, the shimmering gold gates at the front make one thing clear: you're about to enter a world of absolute extravagance. We pre-booked our tickets and audio guides online. Highly recommended, especially in busy seasons. We visited in early October and the palace was still packed, so expect crowds and long lines. If you're planning your visit, check the link in the description below for ticket options and times. We started our visit in the apartments of the Dauphin and the Dauphine, titles given to the heir of the French throne and his wife. These rooms reflect the era of Louis XV. One of our favourite parts was the elegant globe, crafted before 1800, which would have been the most up-to-date of its time when it was made. It's so interesting to look at globes pre-1800 because Australia, New Zealand and a lot of other countries were still largely uncharted. We walked through a beautiful marble hall and found ourselves in the apartments of the daughters of King Louis XV. The apartments are refined, elegant and lavish, but more subdued compared to what was coming next. They offer a glimpse into the personal lives of royal women at court. We popped our heads into the royal chapel, a masterpiece of Baroque architecture where, each morning at 10 a.m, the court would gather for the King's Mass. With its towering ceilings and intricate detailing, the chapel feels almost like a cathedral within the palace. As we continued through the palace, the rooms became more elaborate, the gold thicker, the ceilings higher, the details richer. We knew we were getting close to the heart of royal life. Starting with the Hercules Salon. It is the largest of the staterooms. The centerpiece is a massive ceiling painted by Francois Lemoine, depicting the apotheosis of Hercules, surrounded by dramatic gold mouldings. The Venus Salon was used as a refreshment room during court gatherings and balls. Its decorative theme focuses on love and beauty, with Venus represented in detailed ceiling paintings and classical sculptures. Dedicated to the Roman god of war, the Mars Salon served as a guard room for the king. Its militaristic theme is visible in the ceiling painting, symbolizing valor and power. The space was used for music and dancing during evening events, with musicians often placed in a gallery above. The martial symbolism and stately decor emphasized the king's strength as a warrior and protector of France. Following this was the Mercury Salon. This functioned as a stateroom because Louis XIV actually slept in his private apartments. That being said, up to 1701, the room hosted the king's getting up and going to bed ceremonies, which were observed by the public. Next to it, the Apollo Room, dedicated to the Roman god of the sun, with whom Louis XIV identified, served as a throne room. Decorated with a lavish painted ceiling that shows Apollo in his chariot surrounded by mythological figures. Here is where the king would hold his regular audiences. We passed through the War Salon, a gold chamber that glorifies the military victories of Louis XIV. The room is meant to feel powerful and imposing. Then we entered the iconic Hall of Mirrors. Nothing prepares you for it. Over 350 floor-to-ceiling mirrors reflect the light from more glittering chandeliers than you can count, while enormous windows on the opposite side frame perfect views of the gardens. This is where the Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919, marking the end of World War I. a room of beauty and power. All of this ramped up to the big reveal, the king's bedchamber, an explosion of gold, embroidered tapestries and ornate carvings. It's an unapologetic display of royal luxury. The camera doesn't do justice to how stunning this room is. You really have to add Versailles to your must-see list if you're thinking of visiting Paris. Located at the end of the Hall of Mirrors, the Peace Room is decorated with themes of diplomacy and harmony. The room was used by the Queen for intimate audiences and receptions. Its ceiling celebrates peace brought by the King's reign, balancing the martial tone set by the War Room. If the King's Room wowed us, the Queen's bedchamber completely stole the show. It reflects the personal style of Marie Antoinette, who added these delicate touches. The Noble's Salon was a gathering space for courtiers waiting to be presented to the king or queen. The antechamber was where the king and queen would dine publicly with members of the court, a ritualized display of royal life. The Queen's Guard Room was manned at all times by royal bodyguards responsible for the Queen's safety. The room is decorated with military motifs, but still retains elegance with classical columns and high ceilings. We also explored rooms added during later renovations, including a gallery dedicated to Napoleon Bonaparte. Here, paintings and artifacts celebrate France's imperial phase, a different kind of grandeur, more austere but no less self-assured. It's fascinating to see how Versailles evolved to reflect different eras of French leadership. Feeling hungry, we grabbed a quick lunch at one of the cafes inside the palace. We ordered some soup, sandwiches and a little dessert. This was the perfect fuel we needed to head outside and explore the palace gardens. These beautifully manicured gardens, lined with gravel walkways and clipped box hedges, showcase the precision and symmetry of French formal garden design. The gardens stretch endlessly with manicured lawns, grand fountains, sculpted hedges, and hidden grottos. You could spend an entire day here and still not see everything. There are a multitude of tree-lined paths, carefully planned to provide sightlines to focal points, like fountains or statues. Walking along them, you're immersed in the grandeur of the gardens while being guided through a living work of art. At the end of the Royal Way lies one of the most iconic features of the Versailles Gardens.
It's a very big place.
Apollo's fountain shows the sun god rising from the water in a chariot pulled by 4 horses, a clear reference to Louis XIV, the Sun King. It creates a dramatic visual centerpiece at the end of the garden. There are 4 seasonal fountains at Versailles, each dedicated to a time of year. This one honours spring and features the goddess Flora surrounded by blooming flowers and dancing cherubs. As we explored the gardens, we came across a secret grotto, an artificial cave decorated with statues of Apollo tended by nymphs. The Neptune Fountain is the largest and most dramatic fountain at Versailles. featuring over 100 water jets and elaborate sculptures of sea gods, dolphins, and mythical creatures. Positioned at the far end of the garden axis, it acts as a spectacular finale to the garden experience. We were lucky enough to catch one of the fountain displays. It's theatrical, beautiful, and a perfect complement to the grandeur inside. We left Versailles completely overwhelmed by the scale, artistry, and ambition of it all. It's not just a palace, it's a living symbol of power, beauty, and history. If you're heading to Paris, make sure to carve out a full day for Versailles, and don't worry if your jaw keeps dropping to the floor. Ours did too. That evening, we spent a cozy night in a restaurant nearby our Airbnb. The menu was delicious and the service so friendly. The waiter didn't hesitate to help us with our wine selections. Indulging in some delicious French cuisine was the perfect way to end our day. Thanks so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. À bientôt!